Now, time for Your Best You, and Your Best You does involve spending a little time at the fork in the road with Sheree Clark, and you have to be excited. This is like opening season in baseball for you.
Yeah, ring the bell. That's what people are going to be doing Saturday morning.
There you go. At least in the Des Moines downtown farmers market. We had a farmers market open yesterday, Jackie.
Yeah, it is the season. It's farmers market season. So we're getting excited for some beautiful things that are produce that are going to be available, as you brought here this morning in our Iowa Live kitchen. So let's talk basics. What do we need to do to get ready? Whether you visited one last night, you're going tonight, Valley Junction, or getting excited for Saturday, what are some things we need to keep in mind?
Well, first of all, what are we going to wear?
Okay.
So let's talk
comfortable
about
clothes.
Comfortable clothes. Let's talk attire. Let's talk layers. Let's talk. I'm dressed for farmers market. I got on my comfy shoes. Jackie, the pumps got to go.
Pumps not going to work this time. Dress and pumps aren't going to work.
But I think about, what are you going to bring your produce home in? I got this as a gift for my birthday this year. I haven't even used it yet. My birthday's in the fall. So this is a gorgeous tote bag. It's got a pocket inside.
It's canvas.
It's canvas. Okay. I love it. And Jackie,
it kind of blends in with what you brought in.
Exactly.
Today.
It's a perfect little backdrop. And when it gets a little bit later in the season, you're going to want to bring your insulated one.
So that one's insulated.
Insulated. And I got that at Costco. It cost me $7.
That's it?
That's it. And
That's
nice. Like I was saying, it's like I'm going to lose money if I don't buy that thing, you know? So it's perfect. You can just put an ice pack in there, and then if you got to make stops on the way home, your produce won't spoil.
Nice big shoulder bag that you can carry along, but plenty of room that if you're wanting to, you know, maybe obviously get your produce, but you could even throw a craft in there, you know, so you're not carrying all those, you know, plastic bags around. You're helping everything out.
And speaking of crafts, the reason I wore this necklace is I bought it at Farmers Market.
There you go.
Last summer. So yeah, there's all kinds of cool things.
It's not just produce.
It's not just produce. So, but there's lots of produce. One other thing that you want to remember to bring with you. I brought this to remind me.
Hey, finally, you're good.
I'm going to pay Jackie back for it.
Yeah, here you go. Bring cash. They do take cards, and some of them actually take the WIC program. But what you're going to want to do is make sure that you've got cash if you're in a hurry, especially on the first day, so you can get in and get out, and you don't make people wait.
And different smaller denominations too, right? Get some dollars. Don't just bring 20s.
Right, exactly. So it'll make it a more pleasant experience for everybody. If you've got exact change, you just hand it to the vendor and you're on your way. Yeah, exactly. So let's talk about what we can.
Yeah, what are we going to get nowadays?
In the world of being a better you in the new year, you're always talking about eating healthier items, and obviously you just seeing beautiful green on the table here with some other colors and things on here. So what can we experience? Because you still feel like it's cold out still some of these days. Farmers aren't really in the field yet because they can't even get in the ground. What can we experience with farmers market?
Lots of good things. Remember, think spring. Things that grow early in the season. And you know, before I tell you what I've got here, I'm actually going to give the two of you a surprise pop quiz.
Pop quiz.
No, you didn't say there was going to be a test.
Yeah, there is. On my tray, there's something on here that's not available right now. It's when you will not expect to see it when you go down the farmer's market. Everything else you could see.
Really?
Okay. But there's one thing that's not going to be there. You got any ideas there, Lou?
Well, the first one that jumps to mind would be the cantaloupe, because we haven't had a long enough season for the cantaloupe.
Ding, ding, ding.
Okay.
And
ring the bell.
I already know you know the answer to
Well,
that.
if you think of fruit right now, even in the grocery store, which I know isn't always local, it's just doesn't have the full flavor that we expect.
That's right.
So we'll wait a little bit for that.
Mangoes are pretty good right now. But
are they? Okay.
Yeah. But the first one I would have went for would have been this right here. It would have been the asparagus.
Not ready? Oh, hell, Lou, you got to get off.
Really?
Yeah.
They're going to have plenty of asparagus?
Asparagus is this time of year.
Okay.
Oh, you betcha. And other things like that. So asparagus, let me give you a quick point or two. I'll tell you some of the things that I look for when I'm buying my produce.
All right.
I personally prefer thinner asparagus.
I was going to say, this seems pretty thick for you, because usually you're saying do the thinner.
I like the thinner, younger
The
ones.
Iowa Cubs could use that.
Yeah, exactly. Hit it right out of the park.
Right.
Yeah, these I liked a little bit thinner, but you know, it depends on what you're going to do with them also. These I bought for juicing, so I want
it doesn't matter. Okay.
thicker ones. They're going to give me more produce or more production. So let's look at some of the other things that are on the tray. Remember, anything that's green, particularly tender leafies, this is Swiss chard. Swiss chard is going to be available. Many of the more delicate leafy greens, there might even be some spinach. When you're looking at those, again, you're going to be tempted to want to buy the big giant leaves. Don't do that. Buy the smaller, more tender ones.
Okay.
Feel what the stems are like, and if they're crisp and if they've got a little bit of crunch to them. Don't be afraid if there's tears or bugs, or they don't have to be pretty. They just have to look fresh and perky.
Okay.
All right. We're going to find some carrots in
Oh,
all
so
likelihood.
beautiful, the rainbow carrots.
Yes, and I like to buy my carrots with the greens still attached, as you can see here.
And that's becoming harder and harder to find in some of the big grocery stores.
Yeah.
We went looking for them last year.
And remind us why that is.
Well, probably, this is a guess, but my guess is that people are intimidated by the greenery. And then they look at it and they think, well, what am I going to do? I don't know what I'm going to do with that. Am I going to throw it away? Is it going to go to waste? And then they don't remember to take it off when they get it home. When you get home, you cut the greens off and store the vegetable. This goes with anything that's a root vegetable that's got the greens attached. You store them separately.
And why is that?
The greens are extracting moisture and nutrition from the produce, from the root itself. And we don't want it to, it's still trying to grow. It still wants, it's still being nursed, if you will, by the carrots. And if you're going to use these separately, separate them now.
So why do you buy them with them still attached then?
I know that they're fresher.
Okay.
So any storage, like beets that have the greenery still
And carrots like this, with the greens like this, if you're making soup, this really gives a nice little addition to soup, too.
Yes,
Yeah.
I use it in small quantities in soup. I really like. If you look online, you can find a recipe for carrot top pesto.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
really nice.
Okay.
Yep. And just look up different recipes for that. Then we've got the greenery. I'm going to let this is actually cilantro, but
Right.
we're going to call it parsley because parsley would be something that would be abundant now. Cilantro maybe as well, but parsley I would almost certainly expect to have. You can buy them in bundles at the farmer's market. You can also buy them in pots.
Plant form, yeah.
Yeah, so one of the things that I really like to do with these early in the season is to buy the already potted plants and then just transfer them into my own garden if I
Okay.
didn't grow things from seed.
That way you can just harvest what you need.
Yes, exactly.
For your kitchen for that given day. Now let's go back to the parsley or cilantro. What is the process when you get that home for the parsley or cilantro to keep it looking good?
There's a couple of schools of thoughts on
Okay.
this. Okay, so one of the things that I like for asparagus, I always put this in a little
Water.
bowl of water.
Yep.
And I cover the top. I do that sometimes with parsley and cilantro and more heavier stems, and I'll put the bag over the top of it if I'm going to keep it a while. But I also might just put it in a plastic bag and throw it in the crisper drawer
Okay.
if I'm going to use it quickly.
Perfect.
Good question.
Okay.
So radishes, oh, they're so good this time of year. Yeah, and there's all different kinds of varieties. Once again, remember, let's take the greenery off of our radishes when
Once you get them home,
Yeah,
okay.
Look at those.
Exactly.
Those look awesome.
They're beautiful. In the very front row, there's microgreens. Those happen to be sunflower seeds.
Oh, really?
So, yes. So these are
The sprouts.
the sprouts. These are usually pretty readily available this time of year. Many of the farmers will grow them. You can bring them home and use them as you need them. Some people transplant them and then we'll let them grow into mature vegetables. And then finally, don't forget there's also products and things that you can buy from local purveyors. This is a local honey. This one would be available. You can often find some jams and jellies and other condiments and things like that, which are locally provided. And you will not find a cantaloupe.
Okay.
Or if you
Not
do,
yet.
probably
Not
don't
from
buy
there.
it.
Have been trucked in.
No,
Yeah, exactly.
don't get that guy just yet. That's later on in this season. So what are some other things we need to know besides bringing some cash, dressing appropriately, having the bag so you can carry things home? What are some other great tips that you have for us?
One of the things that I like to do is I like to get there really, really early.
Right.
And the other thing that I like to do if I don't get there really, really early is to go really, really late. So you go really early to beat the crowds and to not be there with the dogs and the strollers if that's irritating to
And
you.
you get first crack at everything,
And
too.
you get first crack and you get best choice. If you're there late, you get a good deal because they don't want to haul that stuff home. So you can say, "Hey, would you take $1 for this?" And the odds are pretty
I
good.
like
They're going to
that.
say
I like that
yes.
theory a lot.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
But there's some vendors, if you've made relationships with them, they run out quick.
They
so
do. That's exactly right. So remember that.
Keep that in mind.
If you're expecting some of the certain things, and if there are mushrooms, if there are mushrooms in the
Right.
market, they won't be there at 7:30.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah. Keep that in mind
grab
as well.
them.
All right. Some great advice. And obviously, when you have this amazing produce, you're going to be looking for some great recipes and other great ideas. So that's why people need to reach out to you, because you always have great advice.
And they can go to fork-road.com, or they can reach out to me via email. And if you wanted to, you could also tune into the series that I'm
Yes. Right.
hosting that's going this entire month. And the URL for that is midlife-newlife.com.
All right. And
Perfect.
can you catch up in case you missed the first one?
Absolutely.
All right. Perfect. That's wonderful. Have fun at Farmers Market.
Oh, you know I'm going
She's going
to.
to be ringing her bell.
There you go. We'll explain what that's all about coming up tomorrow on the program. So look forward to that. Thank you, Sheree.
You're welcome.
All
Thank
right.
you.
It is 20